right, let's go ahead and kick things off. Welcome, everyone, to the November 2010 East CAC meeting. I'm Mark Turner. I'm the chair of the East CAC. I see a bunch of new faces here, and I always do this at the start of the meeting. Could everyone here who's here for the very first time please raise your hand? Cool. Wow. Yeah, a lot of new faces. Welcome. We do this about once a month. We're not going to do it next month, though. But we usually do it once a month. It's usually the third Monday of the month, and we've got nice, handy little refrigerator magnets we're giving out tonight that you can put on your refrigerator, and it has the meeting information on here, so you'll never forget. So those are over there on the table or stuck on the side of the door. Feel free to take a couple home and hand them out to folks, too, if you'd like. It's got the CAC website on there, too, and you'll find links there to mailing lists, so you'll want to sign up to find out about what's going on in your neighborhood. There's an ECAC mailing list. There's also a mailing list for a lot of the neighborhoods around here, and you can find links for that on the ECAC website. So help yourself to those, take them home, put them on your neighbors' mailboxes, you know, whatever you want to do. You know, if your kid has a bike, you know, you might find that they stick to your bike or something. So help yourself to that. Okay. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun. As you can see, we've got a nice little spread of food. It's our holiday social, so you're here for a good time, at a good time. This is a chance for neighbors to talk to each other, find out what's going on, and normally we don't usually have food, but we do tell you what's going on in your neighborhood. So if there's something that you want more information about, maybe the city has a new program that you want to learn more about. If you're interested in what's happening as far as public safety goes in your neighborhood, this is a good place to come, and we tell you about that every month. We also stream this on the internet too, so if you go to the ECAC website, you can play this back later on and watch it, and if you happen to be at home and can't make a meeting, you can still participate in the meeting because it has a chat room where you can submit questions if you have questions for the presenters and things. So tonight we're going to hear some folks from the from the shops at Brookside. Hadley, are you here? We were supposed to hear from some folks at the shops at Brookside, so they're going to miss out on the food, I guess, unless they can make it, which would be good. I was hoping that they would be here to talk a little bit about the neighborhood business that's been built at the corner of Brookside and Glascock that's been vacant for a while. So hopefully they'll arrive here and we can continue on with things. That would be good. We usually start off our meeting with the approval of the minutes. I've posted the minutes from the October meeting on the website. I also brought a couple copies here. If no one has had a chance to read that, I'll be happy to pass those out if somebody's interested. But I'll go ahead and accept any motions for approving the minutes if someone wants to step forward.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Second, all right. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, looks good. Thank you very much. Minutes have been approved. That was quick. Success reports. You might have noticed that Lions Park is a little bit dark this evening. Ordinarily, I'd be a little concerned about that, but it means that there are a lot of improvements being done right now in the park. The LED lighting is being put in, and those conduits are being run, so they had to turn off the older lighting to put in the new lighting, and maybe Jason can talk a little bit more about that as our meeting progresses since he works here at the park. Success reports, what else do we have to mention? Anybody have anything they want to share? Good news in our neighborhood? Yes, Sue.
I just wanted to mention that a few months ago we had somebody from the Neighborhoods program come and do a presentation, and they really went around our neighborhood anyway in the Lockwood area and put out little flags on people's lawns, and then you could call and get a tree. And I was just really blown away the other day walking down my street to see all the new trees that went in. So I think it's really awesome, and I planted a tree on my elderly neighbor's yard, and it looks good. And so I encourage anybody to take advantage of the program.
That's right. It wasn't too long ago that they planted their 10,000th tree, I guess, in the city. So that's a great way to get free trees as long as you can keep up with them. And the ones I've seen around the neighborhoods have been thriving pretty well. So it's going to make a big difference in how our neighborhoods look. Thank you for bringing that up. A couple other things. There's a public workshop for the New Bern Corridor Study that's happening December 2nd. So if you want to find out a little bit about what's being planned for New Bern Avenue, you want to have your say about what you think is important there, you can show up for that. That's Thursday, December 2nd from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And let's see, there's another thing I would like to mention about some of the other improvements to Lions Park. They're talking a little bit about changing around some of the area in the back of the park to make it a little bit more safe. Things like adjusting some of the trees, tree trimming, that sort of thing. And there was a project, I guess, that we were looking at maybe cleaning out the creek back there behind the park, but I think that there might be some restrictions on what we can do with the vegetation there. But that hasn't actually been planned. If you're interested in volunteering or something, let me know, and we can make sure that you find out about that when something actually gets done there. Any other success reports? Yes, Rebecca.
Not a success report, but
Okay.
tomorrow night at
Yes.
7 o'clock at Southeast Raleigh High School, there is a meeting with the school board members about the zoning for schools. So if you're interested in your property values or the quality of schools in your neighborhood, you should be there to give input because this is your only shot.
Okay, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and we can get you more information about that towards the end of the meeting if you're interested. Also, Rebecca, I believe that the Lockwood Community Watch is having another meeting?
Yep, this Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Powell Elementary School. If you live in Lockwood, you hopefully got either a flyer or a postcard, but if you're kind of on the border and you want to come,
Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Powell Elementary School for the Lockwood Community Watch. Okay, cool. Thanks. Yes?
You mentioned the creek cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
There was originally a trash pickup for State Street, or was it on State? You know if that's ever going to be rescheduled?
I don't know if we've done one this fall, but you know, I think that now that the heat isn't oppressive, it might be a good thing to reconsider. So that's a good idea. I think we could go ahead and do State Street, and I've been meaning to get Raleigh Boulevard done too, around Oakwood Avenue in that area. It seems there's a lot of trash that always accumulates there. One good thing is that I got a trash can replaced on Wake Forest Road, where there was a bus stop there right in front of the Circus restaurants. The people who ride the bus they were just trashing it all the time. And after a couple of chances of cleaning that up, I finally called somebody and got a trash can put in there. So if you see other areas, bus stops that seem to collect a lot of trash, send it to the ECAC mailing list, and we'll pass that on to the transportation department and make sure we can get a can put up out there. I was actually happy to see that people are using that can. I haven't seen any trash out there ever since that can went up, so it does actually work. Okay, if there are no more success reports, let's move on to our inspections portion. So, gentlemen, if you'd come up here and take any questions. Well, you're the next best thing, right? Yeah, come on up here. Please use the microphone, too.
How's everybody doing tonight? I'm Kenny Smith. Gentleman standing in the back here is Dudley Winslow. We're with the Inspection Department, Housing and Environmental. We do public nuisance cases, housing cases, zoning vehicle cases in this area. We try to make these meetings as much as we can. I unfortunately have not made a whole lot of them. Mr. Winslow has. He's actually going to a different area, and another gentleman's taking his place. What I do currently here in the area, I do strictly housing cases. We've been working on the Millbank apartments right here on Raleigh Boulevard for, let's see, since May. This past Wednesday, we went into our final apartment. There's 240 some apartments we went through out there. So we're hopefully going to wrap that up sometime by the end of the year, hopefully, getting the repairs made out of there. Another inspector's taking Dudley's place is Jim McClare. He's going to be doing all the public nuisances and zoning vehicles, complaints, observations in the area. Is there any questions tonight? Jim McClare. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. 2116. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. It's we're on a vacant closed list right now. I've spoke with the owner, been in contact with the owner. Mr. House, this is house he grew up in, and of course he rented it. And about a year or two back, there was a fire there, and apparently, you know, he's trying to do a little bit at a time. They've, like I said, it's been on a vacant and closed status. That means it can be vacant and secured for up to a year, and then within that year timeline, everything should be brought to minimum compliance.
I was told last spring that year was supposed to be up in the fall, this fall.
Yeah, well, Yeah, well, that being said, once a year is up, it still has to go before council. Then it has ordinance has to be put on it. That's a little bit above our head from there on. So once they get an ordinance put on the property, it's actually handed to another inspector that deals just strictly with the ordinances. And he gets it with the owner, and they pretty much determine, what repairs have been made, if any. They set out fines and fees, and they can go from there. Because the way they determine a property, we try to determine if the repair costs are over 50% of the value of the property. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's over 50% or not. If you want to try to repair it, that's up to you. But that's how we kind of judge the standards of doing the repairs of these, such as this one at 2116. He's replaced windows in there. He gutted it out. He had to do. We've done electrical inspection, rough in and framing in there. And the last time we were there, which it's probably been about a year ago, when he went to do the electrical rough in, somebody came in the night before and stole every bit of wire out of there. So he's just been keeping it secure, trying to keep the grass cut. So I mean, the last I spoke, he's had so many different irons in the fire, so to speak. But everybody's got an excuse in this business. So, but I know it's been an eyesore, and everybody's trying to get this property back into shape. So. But that's something I will note and try to get in touch with Mr. House and get a confirmed answer about what he's trying to do with it. And like I said before, it's going to probably go to council and have a, yeah. Yeah. And usually with the, I can't speak for council, usually with what the repairs that have done, they will probably give him some more time.
Has he done anything since the electric, because that was ages ago?
Yeah, well, he's put some new windows in. He's done some stuff in there, but he's doing just a little as possible. I mean, he's doing the minimum as possible. And right now, that's all he needs to do. But when the 1 year marks up, we'll get in more details of what's being done and what he has to do from there on. They'll set definitely a deadline date, like Dudley said, within 60 days or something to get this property.
Is it possible for neighbors to go to city council and mention
Oh.
how much we're unhappy about this?
Yes, ma'am. It sure is. It sure is. It sure is.
How would we know when to go or who to talk to?
Usually, there's a council meeting tomorrow. Is it?
What you do is you go online to the city council and agenda, you can look at the agenda every time we have a council meeting.
Yeah,
See if that particular person, get the name of the person, the address, and see if they've been put on the agenda to speak.
Yeah, you can get them to speak in front of them and tell them, this is nice, or, I mean, we have it all the time.
There's a staff person that actually is responsible for submitting matters to the council.
That would be Rodney Bond.
Yeah.
So couldn't you have him contact this lady when this person
That's
Sure.
something we don't do. I don't think we do that. I'm not taking business, members of the public.
Well, she can certainly contact.
Yeah. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, she can contact, yeah. We have so many different cases, though. I mean, Roger, he looks through so many files every day. I mean, if you called him, and pretty much what he would do is say, hey, Kenny, can you step in my office and let's review this case?
Another thing you can do is contact Kenny.
Yeah.
When he's at the office, and find out when the deadline year is up, and that'll give you an idea when to call Kenny and see when he entered in Roger. And then that'll give you an idea of when it'll be going to count.
And before I leave, I forgot my cards in the truck. I forgot my email address on it. If you want to shoot me an email, I can, give you the deadline date and probably send you an email when it's being heard in front of council.
And you can always talk to the city council people, just on your own, because if you go to the city council meeting, you're not gonna be able to talk. They're probably not gonna let you speak if you're not, but you can also do a, citizen's request. Anybody can do a citizen's request to speak to the council. You
But
probably
they
have
know
that.
that she knows when that council meeting's gonna happen, she can be put on the agenda at the same time, and she can get that one, in additional time. That would be the answer that I want to start with.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. There are several houses near Mount Vernon and Culpeper.
Uh-huh.
Around that area, there are two churches.
Uh-huh.
There were 3 houses that were moved from somewhere else,
Yes.
and it's been left there for years. And they have ditches dug all the way from the sidewalk, and just mud will run from the ditch to the sidewalk, sometimes you can hardly walk on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I know myself, probably a year ago, I wrote that property owner up. Actually, it's 3 lots that the one property owner owns, and like you said, they brought in 2 other homes. The 2 homes, 2 dwellings were sitting on one lot at one time, and what he did was put one on the other side of the white brick house and left the yellow one there.
That sidewalk has been since cleaned up.
Yeah,
The city has
yeah.
recreated it last month.
Yeah.
And trimmed the limbs back over the sidewalk, cleaned the sidewalk up. 'Cause I had that written up, and I got the city to come in and clean it at that charge.
It's
So they
still
take care of it.
a very deep ditch, because it's an elevated area, so you can see, it's almost like a river running down to the sidewalk.
So that is, that'll be a public utility for the septic line. But as far as the sidewalk, they're gonna walk through there, that's all clear. With the limbs and all.
So you said there's a runoff on the sidewalk?
Yes, there's a ditch exposed for the last year or so,
Okay.
and there was dirt everywhere.
2832, I think it is.
Yeah. All right, we'll look into it for you. Any more questions for anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Who's responsible for trees that overhang the sidewalk?
That would be Parks and Rec.
Anyone in the city?
Yes, well, depending on with the sidewalk, yeah, but most of the time with the city sidewalks around here, it will be Parks and Rec.
What happens with that, because of tree conservation, if we write it up, if you cut your limb, you should be fine. So, Parks and Rec will handle the trimming of trees on the sidewalk and the road. That way, the general public, and us, will be fine.
Yeah, but we've had some instances around the area where they had some old oak trees with the limbs of, literally with the box trucks and stuff going underneath them, that they've raked the top of them or hit ladder racks. And we sent, I forgot, do you remember who the person was with the Parks and Rec? Anyhow, they would send a tree crew out and they would trim them up. Is there a specific area?
Yeah, it's on Roll Boulevard, where all the apartments and things are.
That's it.
If you're trying to bike get through there, you're getting like slammed in the head with tree branches.
Yeah, I did, it's been a while back, I did contact them, I think it was last summer, somebody had called in to complain about it, and they actually sent a crew out here that trimmed up the limbs. But of course, it probably growing back by now. Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir.
We got some problem in my neighborhood on the 200 block of Colton,
Mm-hmm.
and I had heard, so this is rumor, so it's exactly what I paid for it. But I'd heard that some of those houses on that block were supposed to be condemned, or there were problems on the zone. It was the 200 block of Colton.
Colleton Road, yeah.
I just wanted to know if there's been some recent police trouble over there as well. I was wondering if you knew anything about any of those homes, or.
I know none of them are condemned over there, not on 200 block. I know Joyner Realty had bought some back from, I can't remember his name, but Joyner Realty, Adams and Terry manages some. If you go down Oakwood, and if you come off Raleigh Boulevard, turn on Oakwood and turn right on Colleton. If you look to the left, the first 1, 2, 3, I think 4 units, the duplexes there we've had cases on. There's 2 of them that are in the 1-year vacant closed program. There's one on the very end, the 205, 207. One side was brought in compliance, and the other side's on a vacant closed list. They did have a, I think it was a shooting or somebody, there was a death on one of them. We went out there and investigated it. There was no minimum housing issues where we could initiate a minimum housing case. But we did find some public nuisances and stuff, and like I said before, Mr. LeClaire is looking into that. I don't know what he's done today, but that was one of his first things to do, is to go up and down Colleton, because Joyner had got somebody out there with some bobcats and a crew. If you're going down Raleigh Boulevard right to your right, they cleaned up a lot of that stuff behind there. Yeah, we wrote them up so many times, time after time after time. I think they finally got so tired of it that they just went back and just took all that stuff out. But it's dotted back and forth for different owners on that road. There is, I think it's 210, or I can't remember. They all run together. If you're going down Colleton, on your left, you've got the 204 or 206. There's another one right here. The one, there's like a dead tree in front of it. We've contacted owners and we're trying to get in there. We were going to get in there last Friday. Say again? Is it? Yeah. So we're getting through there. So yes, sir.
Also have another one, it's also the same location on Mount Vernon and Colchester, the corner. There's a tree on one side, on one corner, that it outgrew to the street, so when you cross Mount Vernon, you look to your left, it's hard to see the traffic coming.
Yeah.
It's not even on the sidewalk, it's from somebody's yard. It's a big tree.
It's on the corner of Mill Vernon and Culpeper.
Yes. And then on the other side, there's a house at the corner, and people always park their cars on the street, which is where the stop sign is.
Yeah.
So basically, when you get up to the corner, you don't have a space
Yeah.
to turn.
Well, I hate to pass the buck, but the RPD would have to take care of the vehicles on the street. We can only address them that they're actually on the property. But I will, so it's right on the corner of Mill Vernon and Culpeper. You said it's a trees blocking the view. Okay. Anybody? Anything else? Going once? Going twice? All righty. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate that. And now let's hear our Parks and Rec report from Jason Clemens. Come on up.
I'd like to welcome everybody person by person, name by name, to Lions Park. If you are new here, my name is Jason Clemens, as Mark stated. I am the assistant director here. A little bit about myself. Graduated from Winston-Salem State. Graduated from High Point with my master's degree. Pat myself on the back again. Hooray for me. Also, avid NC State fan. Big game this week. Know we're playing those Heels. Go back. My man. I'm gonna start off honestly with the lights. That was last on my list, but since obviously we're just in the dark right now, what's going on with the lights? I don't know, but no, I'm just playing. We're getting new lights. Obviously, there's some positives and some negatives. We're seeing the negative effects right now. When you're ripping up old lights and replacing them with new lights, things like this happen from time to time. Normally, what happens, we have the basketball lights that gives us a little bit of lights while they sort everything out. Those are down 2 today. They were working on that this morning. I don't know what they did. Send an email to my boss. Hopefully we can get this rectified. If it's not rectified by the next meeting, then we are in big time trouble, but hopefully it won't go to that extent. Getting in on a little bit of announcements. On December the 7th, you will be able to begin registering for the January through April programs through mail-in, walk-in, or online registration. We will have some leisure ledgers. I do have some leisure ledgers for next the winter, spring. Up front in my office, so if you need a leisure leisure, please come by and see me. Our summer camp brochure will be available in January, and mail-in and drop-off registration will begin on February the 1st. If you noticed last year, that original date was March the 1st, so this year we're starting a month earlier on mail-in and drop-in registration for summer camp. Our adult program, also known as the senior programs. The senior programs are available in your area. Of course, here at Lions Park, we meet on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our seniors participate in a variety of activities, including guest speakers, luncheons, and games. It is free to join. You do have to be a minimum of 55 years and older in order to join. The senior program has several trips planned during November. Destination will include trips to New York City, Danville, Virginia, and Rose Hill, North Carolina. So if you're interested or know somebody that's interested in joining those groups, please give us a call. We will direct you to the meeting times here at the park. Our Fishing Tackle Loaner program now offers free rides and reels to participants at any Raleigh lake. So if you're somebody that likes to fish and you don't have a ride, don't have a reel, whatever, they'll give them out for free. So don't let that hold you back, all right? Upcoming special events. Basketball registration, of course, is come and gone. We're getting ready to start the season in a couple of weeks, so things are going to get a little hectic around here in the evening times, especially in January, February. We'll be going, full at it, so you guys be prepared for that. Basketball Elks Hoop Shoot will be on December the 4th through the 18th. It will consist of a free throw shooting contest, and the winners will advance to the city championship. It's going to be at various locations. They haven't set those locations of yet, but as soon as I get information, you guys look for flyers on that event. Mordecai Holiday Lantern Tours consist of a tour of the historic Mordecai House, and will also give tourists the chance to see Christmas during the colonial times, Civil War days, and Victorian era. For more information on that, please contact Mordecai Park. Also, our workout membership. We have a weight room here, $12 a month. You two, I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? $12 a month. You guys want to get in shape, please come see us. We have a nice weight room. I mean, we have all the basic equipment. If you're looking to get built, we had dumbbells in there. You look like you back in the day. It's all them. All right. As I said with the special announcement, I was going to mention the lights, but I just ran over that right at the beginning. So, are there any questions? Anybody want to place a wager on the game this weekend, Carolina State? All right. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, Jason. Now we'll hear from the Raleigh Police Department, Officer Crisco, and staff. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today? All right, before we get started, I'm going to introduce two new faces you're probably going to see around here more often. They're a result of our promotions that happened this last week. First is Sergeant Woodard. Sergeant Woodard, you stand up to show everybody your face. If you see him, feel free to pull him over and talk to him. He loves interaction with the public. And second, or last but not least, would be Lieutenant Hoffman. And, sir, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, just very briefly, Captain Law has difficulty with scheduling in all the CAC meetings, so when he received 4 lieutenants, one of the first things he did was wanted to make sure that each CAC received command staff level attention. So I was assigned this CAC in addition to another one. And basically my function, as it was described to me, is just making sure that the community officer receives the support and the collaboration with the patrol units, making sure that both of those units are interoperable, so that when he is working on a project or you bring to his attention any sort of crime problem or public safety problem, that patrol officers are collaborating with him and they get adequately addressed and they're not accountable for it. So I look forward to coming to the meetings, hearing your concerns, and actually learning quite a lot about inspections while I'm at it.
All right. Next, I want to apologize. Well, I was out for the last 2 weeks at a school, and I assumed that I had put my out-of-office reply properly, but apparently it only sent an out-of-office reply to people who were on our distribution list within the city. So I apologize for that. If y'all were sending me emails, I was assuming that you were getting a reply back from me. So I did forward those emails on to the patrol officers. So if there's still a problem in that area, please resend that email to me, and I'll take care of it, or just see me back there after I'm done up here. One success story. Brian Schultz, the manager at Raleigh North Apartments, went to civil court today, and I think he had 6 evictions and one that was not evicted today. But out of 7, 6 of them got evicted. One of them was the epicenter of all evil that goes on in that block. And that person is going to be receiving an eviction notice and has 10 days to be out of that apartment. There was rumor that this person was out of the apartment, but they weren't. There was people coming in and out of there all the time, and the management was under the assumption that this person had already moved. Well, in 10 days, the sheriff's going to come lock the door if he or she is not out, and we'll take care of that. And you can tell, if you look on here, very few calls have gone out to that apartment complex this month, and probably in the previous month too, if you remember that. So it's calming down up there. The management's really hitting it hard with these inspections, calming down. And they're on the Burgundy side, which is the last few apartments that they're doing. They've started to reward people for information that they're giving to police and stuff like that, and their maintenance crews giving a lot of information to the management, and in turn is giving them the information to me, which I'm in turn disseminating out to the patrol officers, and they're making a lot of cases. And you'll see, I don't know if you have in yours all the drug cases. Do you see that? Is there a list of drug cases out there? Those are all officer-initiated drug cases. And they're throughout the city, not mainly, it might be some in Raleigh North, but all those drug cases are officer-initiated from information that they receive from the citizens around that area. I take it everybody had some time to look over these. Does anybody have any questions real quick about any of them? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Those are, does it say miscellaneous? What is the, it says drugs. Do you know the report number? Yeah, a lot of those have to do with when people go to the hospital or they go to, in that area they have false staff and stuff like that. Officers do the reports out there to catch people with the drugs when they're transporting them to and from. And when they're searching, like when they do vehicle accident reports and people go to the hospital and they look at their stuff, they see drugs and stuff like that. Or it's just people in that area. Because there's the bus stop that's out there, and we get a lot of calls out there too. With the apartment complex across the way, Pines of Ashton, we get a lot of drugs out there. So that's basically proactive work from the police officers. Yes, sir.
What is that little symbol over there that looks like a sparkle for the drugs?
I believe it's a syringe. I didn't make the symbols. As politically correct as I am, I wouldn't have put that up there. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll explain that. I went through and looked at every single one of those reports, and I think there was one that was a sex offense. There was something with the system, with the reports on how they were put in, that they're not sex offenses. For some reason, they were labeled sex offenses. Most of them were disturbances. We had a couple of disturbances. One talk with an officer report, one report about a fire, one was a fraud, and the other one was someone was stealing their water. So how they got in there as sex offenses, I have no idea, because that piqued my interest too, because I would have seen them on an everyday basis when I look for the calls for service, and then when I look at these, it didn't match up. So I went through and looked at every single one of them, and only actually two of them were sex offenses. One was the suspect and the victim knew each other, and the other one was between juveniles.
The other question is, the corner of Millbank and Brighton, I think it must be this one on the first page, 2201 Millbank. Is this commercial burglary? But I'm not aware of any commercial.
It's not. It's residential. I looked at that too, because I wasn't aware of anyone. But it was an open door in a house, and it was random. They don't know. There's no suspect information. There was nothing stolen. It was just an open door that officers responded to. Aggravated is like if I shoot you, that's an aggravated assault and you don't die. If I beat you with a baseball bat, something that causes a lot of bodily damage. Something simple, if I spit on you, if I smack you, stuff like that. It's basically a difference in the charging. Misdemeanor and one can possibly be a felony. Yes, ma'am.
I don't necessarily see this on the sheet, but I haven't been able to look at all of them, but I had asked for a report about what happened at the pawn shop. And I was
Yes, ma'am.
interested more generally in how pawn shops are required to be secured, since there were a lot of guns stolen from that one. And I was wondering what the circumstances were, how the guns came to be stolen, and how pawn shops are required to store firearms.
Yes, that's the same way as with you guys. They have to have them locked up. I don't have any information on that. What we see on the news is what we've got so far. I haven't received any updated information. As far as the requirements on what they need to do, that has to do, I guess we can look into the city council, but.
What you'll find very often is what you believe should be a regulated industry, is in fact not a regulated industry. There's no city ordinance that governs how firearms need to be secured. Some burglaries are not the same as others, and if that one was a blue top entry, alarm, burglary alarm disabled, they were secured, and they did have a burglary system, they were defeated. So that was a very well planned burglary. It's not your typical kick in the door type thing. So there's really no fault of the pawn shop. They did take some exhausted certain means that are available to them, and then wouldn't be shared with us on patrol because of the assigned investigative division. So they don't communicate everything that goes on because they don't want that many officers involved in the investigative process to protect the actual integrity of the investigation.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I've been there before, I think of that location, that particular pawn shop, where people were in looking at guns, and, you know, they might not have had a permit or whatever, but they seemed interested, and then, you know, I was out in my car, getting in my car, and they left and got a third party, and then were entering in again. I mean, my assumption is maybe they didn't have a permit, so they were getting somebody else to buy it for them. I mean, should I call that in? Is that just one of those
That
things
happens all
where
the
you
time.
can?
Those are called straw purchases.
Right.
And they're actually, the ATF tracks those because the person that obtains the permit will often obtain dozens of permits, and then the ATF, we have a person assigned to the ATF task force, and they follow up on straw purchases, which is a person without a criminal history that will purchase large numbers of weapons and then sell them to someone who's unable to legally get a purchase permit. That's what happens.
Does it benefit them in any way for me to call that in because they'd be on surveillance
It
for like
would,
market time?
it would as far as bringing it to the attention of the pawn shop person, as far as they're concerned, they don't care, they're making a legal sale. And you could bring it to the attention of a patrol officer who could then initiate an investigative contact where no crime has occurred, but the circumstances are suspicious. So we meet the threshold of what we call an FIR. Basically, it's just an investigative report where we can make a note, should we have any contact with that firearm in the future, to bring it back to that day.
Okay.
And put the pieces of a puzzle together.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? Okay, with the guns, sticking with the gun issue, we had a couple of residential burglaries in the area, and in those burglaries, guns were taken. So what I would take this minute here to let you guys know that if you do have a gun on the premises, that you need to make sure that it is secured. You need to have two ways to secure it. Either a lock through the barrel and out through the magazine, and then in and stored somewhere else with a lock. You need to have two measurements to lock it up. So when people do break in your house, it's going to take them a lot more effort to take your gun. And if you do that, you can ensure that there's no more guns being let out on the street. Because I think there's at least 3 of them in here that were guns were taken out of houses that were just left out in the open. Now I understand that it's your house, you should be able to have your gun out. But if you're not going to be at home and it's going to be unattended, make sure that you lock it up. Because a lot of these people that are breaking in during the days are children or juveniles. They take these guns, they don't know what they're doing with them. They just see a gun, they see it on TV, they play the Xbox and all these first-person shooters. They don't know the difference. But when they pick that gun up, like 2 years ago, that little child picked his daddy's gun up out there off of Tryon Road, shot himself in the chest. And yes, you could be held responsible for that, and you could go to jail for that, even though they broke into your house. So that's one thing that we need to keep an eye on. That's one pattern that I did see in this 28 days, was there was multiple guns taken out of residences. So make sure you secure those. And with that being said, we've had several residential burglaries where they've been getting in the back door. This back doors have either been unlocked, or it was a glass sliding door and the regular deadbolt wasn't locked. So please make sure when you're leaving your house, secure your back doors, because that's probably going to be the one place that people are going to come in. If you have a fenced-in backyard, if your yard backs up to a tree line, ensure that that back door is secured. I use a deadbolt on my back door and on my front door. Even though the city only requires to have one deadbolt, I use 2, because everything in my house is important to me, and my children are important too. So I make sure that my house is a virtual fortress, that if they get in, they're going to have to make some noise. So if you don't have the capability of putting another deadlock in, get some floodlights that are motion sensors. So when people come in your backyard, that light will come on. Even during the day, sometimes that scares people. You'll be surprised.
What about replacing your strike plate screws too?
Yes, you can, all that stuff. And if y'all want, we have a crime prevention officer that will come out and they will do a SEPTED evaluation of your house. They will tell you exactly what's wrong with your house and how to fix it, as far as your hedges, your landscape design, all that stuff. They'll come out here and it's free of charge. They'll come out and do it for you. So if you have a question, I could answer it up here, but it would be better answered if someone were to come to your house and take a look at it and tell you exactly what's wrong. So if y'all have any questions about that, my email is on the is on the newsletter, or I'll be out here after this for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll put you down on the list, and we'll get somebody out there to come by your house. Yes.
Also related to burglaries and back doors, something I would encourage people to think about, and I learned about this from experience, is you might have a window on your back door, and somebody might punch through it, and it's a good idea, rather than to have a deadbolt that you turn with a switch, to have a key lock on the inside, because that's gonna be one more layer of protection.
You're exactly right, yes.
Do you find with the burglaries in the area, does having an alarm system seem to deter people from breaking in?
I couldn't tell you offhand. I'd have to go back through and research and see how many of the alarms went off, how many actually how many of the houses actually have alarms as opposed to having alarm signs in their house. But if that's something that you're interested in, I can send it up and see if we can't put something together for you.
I guess what I'm wondering is, we engage our alarm, and so a lot of times I don't bother with the deadbolt because I have to use the key. Should I? Is that?
I would say yes, better safe than sorry, because then they have to defeat two things: the lock and the alarm, as opposed to just defeating the alarm. And we all know alarm systems are electric, right? Most of them. I don't think a lot of people have squirrels running in a little cage out there. So if the power goes out, then yeah.
My new one at the bar has a cell phone. So if the power goes out and the phone goes out, it's got a battery backup and
Yep.
it calls out on a cell phone. So
Yeah.
you can get, they're pretty fancy these days. But the deadbolt, I mean, that's the thing. It slows people down enough that they're gonna go on to the next place.
Yeah.
That's what I've always thought about it.
And it causes them to make noise, because then if it's locked in the back, then they have to break a window. And hopefully, if we're nosy neighbors, like I tell you should be, you'll hear it. If you're out there walking your dogs, you'll hear the glass break, and you're like, oh wow, what's going on? You take a look back there, someone's breaking in the house, you call 911, we'll be out there. So it's better to have as many obstacles in their way for them to defeat as possible.
I was gonna say, one more encouragement on the deadbolt. When I locked myself out of the house a few weeks ago, a locksmith came out, he couldn't get the lock picked, grabbed a credit card, and I guess got lucky and just the door popped open. So after that, I've been thinking a lot more about it.
Any more yes, sir.
This is unrelated and it's nothing personalized.
Mhm.
Out of curiosity, how come officers like to park the cars face each other so they can get real intimate and talk while they're blocking the traffic? Shouldn't they park like we do and then get out of the patrol car?
Well, if you give me a situation, I can give you a potential answer to it. Because you say blocking traffic, I'm thinking they're in the middle of 440 talking to one another. So
No, I mean, they park like this, so the windows.
yes, but in what type of situation? Are they on a road? Are they on a highway? Are they? But what type of road? Is it a side road? Is it on 440? Because a lot of times what will happen is officers are talking about the things that are going on in the neighborhood, or say Sergeant Woodard and I are talking about, hey man, the CAC meeting, we had this thing going on, Crisco was telling me there's a lot of drugs in this area. They're going to sit right there and talk about it in their car, because if a call does come out and they have to go, then they can go. But they park.
Like walkie-talkie and all these electronic.
We do, but we don't use walkie-talkies to talk to one another, because they're all different channels, and it goes out, when we press the button, it goes out to the whole city. So we don't want everybody hearing our conversation. And if we are talking and we have long periods of speech, then for the whole time I'm talking, nobody else can talk. So if there's an emergency going out, then nobody can talk. So what we do is we pull up next to one another, get real intimate, so that people that may be walking around can't exactly hear what we're saying. Hey, we're going to go see this guy over here. Yeah, I saw him the other day. He's got a warrant for his arrest. As he walks by, you set up a little plan. So we don't have to broadcast all of our information to everybody on the street.
Blocking the traffic.
Yes, I can't explain why they're blocking the traffic, and if that is a case, then I couldn't tell you why they block traffic. I can probably tell you it doesn't happen all the time. It's a.
If we take a vote, if anybody's seen one, they can raise their hand.
Yes, well, there's a difference between seeing one and then there's a difference between seeing one and a difference for that being a problem. You know, and I'm not taking offense to it. I'm just saying there's ways that we do certain things, as opposed, like, we can't just go out and do things the way that civilians do them. We have to do them our own certain ways. And the more time that we spend out of the car talking to one another, it looks worse than if we're sitting in the car next to one another, ready to go wherever we need to go. And part of the reason why we face different directions is if a call goes out, I can go in this direction if that's where it's going to be, or if it's in that direction, you automatically have one car that's going in that direction, and we don't have to wait.
See, there's a perception of we're the cops, we can break the law. You know.
That's not breaking the law if we're talking to one another.
You're parking on the other
If we're blocking traffic and it's causing a bottleneck, then yes, call that in, call that to IA. But if they're just talking to one another, I would actually want to see that if I'm a civilian. If I see cops in my neighborhood talking, I know nobody's committing a crime right there.
It's not about talking, it's like, in our neighborhood, the streets are pretty narrow.
Okay.
You have two cars parked like that, there's no one can pass.
Okay, well, if you see something like that, then I encourage you to call and complain about it. If they're blocking the traffic, I encourage you to call and complain about it, because then if they are doing something like that and they are causing a hazard, then they shouldn't be doing that.
I'm not sure if they're gonna do anything about it.
Yes, sir. Well, if you want, we could talk after this. I might answer some more questions, and we can have a in-depth conversation back here when I'm finished. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Earlier I was asking about Carlton Avenue.
Uh-huh.
A shooting out there, I think maybe a murder on the 200 block.
Yes.
And I would really push that on King Charles, and I have children, and there's other children on that street. What can we do as neighbors, you know, a few people around me, that seems to be more trouble comes out of that little section in our neighborhood than anywhere else. What can we do to kind of help you guys in our neighborhood?
Have you got a neighborhood watch started up yet?
There used to be one, I don't know how.
Well, that's the first thing we can do is start up with neighborhood watch. Get as many neighbors as you can. I think, Mark, that you guys have a list of people that live in the area. You can get a call. I would encourage you to get a call list. Once you get that call list, you start calling people, and you see something in the neighborhood, call your neighbors and have him call somebody else, and they call somebody else. And every time somebody calls, you just flip on a light, and as those lights flip on, you don't even have to go outside. You just turn that light on, and it's going to deter people. It's like cockroaches. When you turn a light on in the house, they're going to scatter. So if you keep doing that every single time they're outside hanging around doing their music, and you call the cops, you call 911 every time, two things are going to happen. They're either going to leave, or they're going to go somewhere else. They're either going to move out of that apartment or that house, or they're going to go somewhere else to do their business.
Is that okay to call you guys like on a I wouldn't want to bother you guys on a 911 call, but sometimes it's ridiculous with loud music and.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
You can call 911 because a lot of times the loud music leads to other things. And each call that they dispatch is on a priority level, so it's not going to interrupt their murder. They're going to put that at the bottom of the list, which is, and remember that if you do call in one and they don't come right away, it's not because we're trying to, not go to that call. It's because each call has a different priority level. So once they take care of the calls with the higher priorities, we'll get to that one. Sometimes the party's still going on. Sometimes it's not. And then sometimes we're there. We'll drive through the neighborhood, and if they can't hear it or they don't see anything going on, they may drive around again and come back to make sure that nothing's going on.
That's great, thank you. And is the neighborhood watch something that we would, do you guys need to
Yes,
notify us?
just send me an email. I will send our crime prevention officer out there. She'll set up she'll give you all the packets and information that you need to set up a community watch. And then you can have a day where you set aside for your community watch to meet, and then they'll set up block captains and stuff like that. And then a representative from your community meeting comes here, gets the information from the crime stats here. Then you go back to your community meeting and you spread the information that you received here to them.
And Charlene can help with that too.
Yes.
She'd be happy to help. And I just wanted to make one quick note about Colleton. The inspection guys left before they had a chance to talk with us, but there have been a couple cases opened about those homes around the 200 block of Colleton. So they're working to try to get those housing problems fixed, and hopefully, that'll improve the situation there too.
Great, thanks.
I just have. Here we go. Our larcenies from motor vehicle have gone down, but same thing. I think there was only one of them on there that wasn't a result of items in plain view or unlocked doors. So like I said, lock, take, and hide. Lock your stuff, lock your vehicle, take all your stuff out, or hide it in the trunk, or bring it in your house. Most of these are right around the high school, so they're leaving their iPods, their GPSs, and a lot of their laptops in there. What's that? From motor vehicles, yes. And which one? I think there was only one, wasn't there?
But I don't know, it says 3 up here, but I only see one little hit. 2 little hits. What about the one over by Birdie? I'll ask about that one.
Let me flip to that real quick. Okay, there's two. The two that are on Colleton Road, they were gang related. So there was a reason. It was what we call a home invasion. They went into the house looking for a specific person, and while that person wasn't there, they took some stuff and left. The one at 300 New Bern Avenue, what happened in that one was the victim of a robbery somewhere showed up to Wake Med Hospital, and when the doctors see them with it, well, she showed up with a gunshot wound, and when the doctors see that, they ask questions. They won't do any treatment until they find out what's going on. She said, "Well, I was robbed." Obviously, they called 911. The police showed up. She was very uncooperative, didn't get any information, which, you know, it happens a lot. We get a couple of those each time, or every 3 or 4 months. You'll notice we'll get some people just showing up to Wake Med Hospital. Anything else? Yes, sir.
You mentioned the robbery at Carlton. It looks like it's the same address as the murder.
Yes. Yes.
Some people still living there?
Yes.
So they showed up the second time and the guy was there?
Well, put it this way. I don't have any information from the investigators, but the word on the street is you can kind of guess why they showed up looking for a specific person. It's all involved. Right now, I don't know exactly how it's involved. Once they do further the investigation and let that information out, I will let you know. But you can tell that they are related, and that's what the information in the report will tell you, is that it's just the same people are involved. They're just not saying anything on how they're related, as far as if this is a result of the robbery or the homicide or vice versa. It's just the same players in a different game. Yes, sir.
I do apologize if I missed this at the beginning, but the shooting on Glascock Street below that area.
Yes.
2 questions. One, I seem to have seen a report that it actually originated in the park and then moved over. I'm not sure if that's correct.
I haven't heard anything about that. What I know about that is domestic related. Boyfriend or girl and current boyfriend against former boyfriend and girlfriend. So it wasn't a random act of violence. The people knew each other. Tensions got high over some type of lovers quarrel, and that erupted.
I was also trying to figure out why those people were in that location. Were some of them residences of the area, or?
Yes, I believe one of the persons that was involved lived there, and the rest were guests.
Can you give the address, or?
What's that? Oh, you want to know the address?
I'm just.
Oh, I thought you knew that you were telling me that you knew the address. I think it's 705 Glascock.
Yeah, actually, I did some, once it got on RAL and I saw the guy's last name. That house is owned by somebody with the same last name as one of the people that was involved.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of that in this area of the city. Either they're renting or their grandmother owns the house. Grandma's deceased, but she still owns the house, and they haven't fixed everything yet, and they're all living in there, and they, cousins and brothers and, distant relatives will all move into that house or use it at one point in time. And that's why we have a prop officer, and that's why we've brought the community officers on there to get, when there is a problem, we'll go out there and we'll identify the house that's there. We'll talk to the people who own it. If that person's deceased, we talk to the people that actually live there, and we do what we can to find out and get the situation corrected so that we can handle it on a law enforcement level or an inspections level or on a city level to make sure that stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Officer, what about the murder case
On Colleton? Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
No new information has been given to me. There has been an arrest. It's unclear to us, the patrol side, on who they have arrested, whether it was an accomplice or a person or the person involved. Normally, until the investigation is concluded, I don't even have access to that report. I can't read it just because of what the lieutenant was saying before. There are some officers that are full of vigor and want to go out there and they want to make a name for themselves in all good faith, and sometimes they know things or they say things unwillingly or not knowing that it could be, detrimental to the investigation. So in order to prevent that, they just limit the availability or access of certain officers to those investigations. And it's usually just to the detectives and their supervisors. Yes, ma'am.
On that case, there were 2 names put in WRL and all the other news things, one as a victim and one as what they assume was the shooter. Were both those names the right names that were involved?
I couldn't tell you right now because, like I said, that information is not, I'm not able to access that information. Anybody else? Yes, sir. On where?
It was at the intersection of Houston, EUSTON, and Marlboro Road a few weeks ago. right there were really concerned, but then we never found out.
It might have been a foot chase, because if it's not on here, that means there wasn't a call for service. And I have actually the full call for service list of all the other crimes that, like part 2 crimes, not the part 1s that you guys have, like the violent crimes and stuff like that. And there's no call for that on there, so I can assume that it was probably a foot chase, and it might have originated from something else, maybe a vehicle stop. It could have from any number of different issues out there. So either that, or they might be looking for somebody. It all depends. But I don't see a missing persons report on here either. So I'll go back and look at the actual calls for service, because these are only reports, calls that officers did reports on. So if somebody came out there for a call, it's not going to be on this list. If you want those lists, I can give you the list on there. Just email me with that intersection, and I'll look through it and the approximate date. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have not attended very many of these meetings, but I wanted to commend you on your dedication to our neighborhood, your detail, and your very patient.
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Crisco, for that update. Appreciate that. Okay, well, we don't actually have White Oak Properties here tonight, so we're going to just, I guess, go ahead and start with our very last announcements. First thing we need to say is that we're not going to have a meeting next month. There's no December meeting, so next meeting will be in January, third Monday of January. Don't forget about the public workshop for New Bern Avenue, December 2nd. 7 to 9 p.m. And Charlene, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
We're finishing up our fall session of Citizens Leadership Academy, and we're going to have about like 19 grads in that, and I hope to start a new session in the spring. I'll have some brochures on that if anybody's interested in attending.
Okay, and Bobby, would you like to come up and tell us a little bit about the Capitol Boulevard design workshop?
Let me give you a very quick update on the Capitol Boulevard study. As some of you know, I've been involved with that for about 5 years. Last November, the City Council approved a major study for Capitol Boulevard running from the Beltline downtown. So that effort's been underway for now 1 year. It will conclude in the spring. We had a kickoff meeting at Bobby Murray Chevrolet back in June with 300 folks attending. Most recently, there was a public design workshop downtown, which I think about 75 people attended. Some very good ideas, very interesting ideas about what will happen with the corridor, and that was with the public's input. Long story short, it's looking at transportation, land use planning, economic development, and everyone recognizing that that corridor is blighted and does need attention. So I would say there's probably the #1 planning priority in the city of Raleigh right now. There is a lot of effort being given to that by private consultants, the city council, city manager, Raleigh Police Department, et cetera. So it's going very well. And it will take several years, of course, many years for it to be completely revitalized. The number that's been thrown around is $250 million in new investment, public investment on the corridor with bridges, sidewalks, economic development, et cetera. So it's a long range effort. But I think it's most people recognize it does need serious attention. The second thing I would say is most recently we've created a committee which we're calling the Capitol Boulevard Stabilization Committee, which is comprised of business owners, chairs of CACs, neighborhood groups, et cetera. And what we're trying to do is stabilize the area, particularly in the Bobby Murray Chevrolet area, on a short-term basis until these long-range improvements actually take place. And that involves some policing activities, trying to stabilize the area, as well as trying to purchase the properties, the Foxy Lady, the Capitol Inn, the Milner Inn, so forth, and actually demolish those. So that is underway right now. Letters have gone out to try to buy those properties, and hopefully we'll be successful. So we're meeting Thursday with the chief. He's been very involved with this, as well as a number of other folks. So that's basically an update of sort of where it is. It's very complex. I could probably talk to you for hours about it, but I don't think you want to hear hours about it. So does anyone have any questions about where we are in that process?
What about the warehouse area, near the old Budweiser, across from Budweiser? There used to be-
On Capitol Boulevard?
Capital VIP, that area.
Okay, now, and what's the question?
What are they gonna do about this warehouse section?
Well, we don't know. The study's not complete yet as far as recommendations on future land uses, et cetera. A part of that will be, and a big part of what the public would like to see, is a greenway connection from downtown running parallel with Pigeon House Creek to Crabtree Boulevard. So that's certainly in that vicinity there. As far as high-speed rail, what side of of Capitol Boulevard will it be on the west side, east side? Where will you run your transit lines, et cetera? There's been some discussion of actually relocating Capitol Boulevard, both the north and southbound lanes, over to the extremes adjacent to the railroad, which would free up more land for redevelopment, and certainly that will cost hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. But anyway, they were items discussed at the public design workshop, which you attended. Is anything I've missed relative to the design workshop?
You did a great job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, very exciting. A lot of folks are, again, very, very interested in that design workshop. It's a beautiful October 30th, 75 degrees outside with football games, et cetera, and 75 people stayed through the course of the day, and some very interesting ideas which will be posted online, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Again, it's sort of in a lull, the study, not internally, but as far as what the public sees until after the very first of the year, which there'll then be additional public meetings, et cetera. And again, the report will be completed in the first part of the year, and then it goes through city council approval, et cetera. So there'll be ample opportunity for people to participate, continue to participate in the process. But again, there's all that going on, plus the efforts to try to stabilize the area. Without going into a lot of detail, there was over 1,000 crimes committed in that area, down in the Foxy Lady area in the last 3 years, type 1 crimes. And that information is being analyzed very thoroughly right now by RPD, and some actions will be taken in that regard. So anyway, it's a fairly high crime area, very high profile area. RPD is very aware of it. The city manager is very aware of it, and I think you'll see some improvements in the next few months, we hope. Okay.
Mark, if anybody's interested in the Glascock Brookside thing, I was at a meeting with, where White Oak Properties talked about the condos, and so they can get with me after the meeting, and I can tell them what we're looking at.
Okay, yeah, if you'd like some more information about Shops at Brookside, come see Helen Tart after the meeting, and we'll see if we can get them rescheduled for upcoming meetings so they can come talk to us too. That'd be good. Okay, we also have yard signs. If anybody wants to take a yard sign home, put it in their yard a couple days before the meeting, let your neighbors know about the CAC meetings. That would be awesome. We've got a whole box of them here, so help yourself. We also have the refrigerator magnets. Take them home, and that'll tell you where the meeting is so that you always know when and where you're supposed to be here. Any other last-minute announcements before we break for our holiday social?
I just have a question about, do we have any update on Hamel High School noise thing?
The maintenance department for Wake County School System has been notified about the problem with the air conditioner, and they came out and worked on it. I gave them back your input saying that it wasn't quite fixed yet, so I think they're looking at it again. If you still have problems, come talk to me, either email me or call me, or come talk to me after the meeting, and we'll make sure that something gets done about it. Okay. Anything else? Yes. Oh, yes. I want to also mention that the wings here are supplied by Van, our CAC vice chair, and we also have veggie plates from Food Line. Did you have an announcement? Cookies too?
I was just going to ask what restaurant that wonderful smell.
Yes, that's Mojo's Burger Joint, if I recall. Yes, located at Glenwood and Peace. So we thank them for their donation of our food. And with that, let's go ahead and can I get a motion to adjourn? We'll just go ahead and. Okay, we have a motion. All right, good enough for me. See you next year. Have a safe holiday season. See you in January.